Nearly 60% of Americans cannot afford a $1,000 emergency because they have no savings.
My scrimpings!
I'm going to break down exactly why this is the case and what you can do about it so you're not in this spot. So Americans are more financially strained than ever. It's probably not a newsflash to you because we're all living this. Did you know that 73% of Americans right now are saving less money than they ever have? In addition to that, nearly a third of Americans have zero emergency fund, zero extra, zero leftover living paycheck to paycheck, where anything unexpected comes up and they can't cover the cost. Think of the unexpected. If you're running a household like I am, the unexpected comes up all the time. Is it medical? Is it the car? Is it whatever? Something at school for the kids? There's no money set aside for that. Inflation is out of control. Wages are not keeping up with expenses. Typical American might see a wage increase of a couple percent per year. Something like groceries I've seen have gone up as high as 15 to 20%. You see it, you live it, you know it. It's not a good spot we're in right now as a country. So not having enough money coming in and living paycheck to paycheck, that's tough enough. But let's talk about what else is happening. It's not just not having enough money. What happens when there's not enough money? What happens when there's not enough money is Americans are tapping into very expensive credit card debt. And we're seeing major increases there. Did you know that 36% of Americans have more credit card debt than they have savings? Credit card interest rates continue to run at a low level of 20%, seeing numbers up close to 30%. That interest is eating Americans alive, and a lot of that money is being spent on just essentials to keep the household afloat. So this vicious cycle is here where we don't have enough money coming in. Most households are living paycheck to paycheck. When the unexpected happens, it goes on credit card debt. That credit card debt is ballooning. It's not a good situation. I am Mr. Energy, positive, everything else, and I don't want this whole video to be Debbie Downer.
Speaking of heat, if this greenhouse effect keeps up, we'll all be living underwater.
But I want to continue to talk about some issues out there because it's good to see things as they're happening and try to prevent them. Because on the top of the fact that we don't have enough savings, Americans living paycheck to paycheck, mounting credit card debt at exorbitant interest rates, guess what else we have? 69% of Americans are fearful of a job loss. Layoffs are continuing in 2025. And that is probably going to be a trend that's going to continue throughout the year. All this pressure in consumers not having money to spend in the economy is going to ultimately slow the economy. We are in a consumer-driven economy. If people can't afford to buy things, the economy is not going to keep chugging along. Gen Zs worry at 80% of job loss. Boomers are concerned at 59%. And to be honest with you, some of those worries, a lot of those worries are warranted. We are in a changing economy, whether it's AI, whether it's pressure from Wall Street, whether it's pressure from lack of efficiencies throughout the economy, it's rising prices, it's everything from all over. There are definitely pressures on employers, and it gets tough to keep employees if they're not making money. So we talk about all these awful things coming up. And my guess is your energy level's probably a little bit lower after watching a couple minutes of this. But I think it's really important to understand what's out there. And let's talk about some silver lining, where there's opportunities, how you can not participate in a downturn, how you can not participate in having mountains of debt, and how you can be an outlier regardless of what the economic situations are for other Americans. People like you watching this video are more aware today than they were 10 years ago. This information's out there. You can see something and say, you know what? I want to do something different, and Americans are becoming more aware. 36% of Americans right now are saving money and pounding down debt. They are aware of the situation. This is the highest percentage in nearly 7 years. This is really great news. 30% of Americans save more money in 2024 compared to 2023. Another great point. It feels like there's a big shift that we kept, as Prince said, partying like it's 1999. I think that music stopped, and as everything got more expensive, wages stayed the same. People realize I can't continue on this path, and they're working towards it, and it's a good direction. And I think we're going to continue to see this trend for smart people that are making investment in their self and in their future. So, hey, here's a couple pointers on what some people are doing right now to change this cycle of increasing savings, of knocking down debt, making small steps and compounding those over a period of time. I've looked at hundreds of people's budgets, people I've coached on a national level and employees in my company over the last several years. These are some of the points that I worked with them, some suggestions I've given them to get out of the cycle. If you've made it this far in this video and what I've been talking about resonates with you, I've got great news. I've helped literally hundreds of people in the last 10 years work in their budgets, work in their money, and help them get out of bad situations into great situations in doing a budget and putting numbers together. So the first thing I would give you is just that, is a budget. You have to look every single month. How much is coming in? How much is going out? Every single day, every single week, every single year, you go to work, and you know what you do? You trade time for money. You need to take time once a month to count the money. How much came in and where did it go? Where are my expenses? Where am I spending that I don't need to? How much am I saving? How much am I not saving? How much am I going into debt every single month? The first piece is to get that set up and understand that. Give yourself time to do that every single month. When tackling debt, it is very important to look at debt and line it all up. Credit card debt, the highest interest rates are very important to knock those off as soon as you can. What I like to do with credit card debt, let's say you're a typical consumer and you've got 3 credit cards. Some are going to tell you pay the one off with the highest interest rate first. I disagree with that. I want to pay the one off with the lowest balance first. And the reason why I want to do that, I want that euphoria. I want that win. Hey, I checked that one off. I had some success. Does it really matter if the rate's 22% or 24%? If we're going to knock them all off in a couple years, doesn't make that big of a difference. So knock it off, get that paid off, move on to the next one. The other thing is even before jumping in and pounding down that debt, we have to get some emergency funds set up, an emergency reserve account. I don't care if it's $25 a week, $50 a week, $100 a week. The unexpected will happen, and it's so critical to have some liquid funds set aside. If your household expenses are a couple $1,000s a month, let's get to $2,000. So we've got 1 month of reserves. Let's get to $4,000. We've got a couple months reserves. I would prioritize having a month or 2 of reserves even before tackling those credit cards. Then we can aggressively go after those credit cards and tackle those and knock those down every single month. The next thing on the budget and expenses and life in general, look at what you're spending your money. Take a look at it. I do not like debit cards. Debit card goes through, it comes out of your checking account, you never see it. I like credit card, but I pay my credit card off every single month. I didn't always do that, but this is what I like about credit cards. I get the bill. I go through line by line on every single item I spent. If you're using a debit card, I want you to go through line by line. It's not as easy to read as a credit card statement is, but whatever you do, every single month, go through and look at where you're spending. Cut out clothing. Cut out unnecessary items. Obviously, you can't cut out groceries. You can't cut out gas. You can't cut out those things, but you sure as heck can cut out some of those soft expenses. Take that money and apply it to savings and eventually knock that down. By the way, and when I make the reference to cutting out clothing, the Jack Reacher 3rd season just came out. Maybe live a little bit more like Jack Reacher. If you've never watched the show, he shows up at a local town with his toothbrush and nothing else, goes to the Goodwill, buys some clothes, and rolls out. He's doing just fine. So I don't think you need to go to that extreme, but we're all spending too much money on those items. So talking about debt, knocking debt down, that's great. I've looked at some budgets and some people that at the end of the day, there just isn't enough money coming in. And maybe one of the reasons why, one of the recent budgets I looked at, got a big car. And I wish we were talking before he bought that car, because he shouldn't have taken on that $600 or $700 auto debt. He should have got a jalopy for a little bit. He should have got something else. He should have got a $200 car payment. But that $700 debt plus the apartment, that car is upside down right now. He couldn't even sell it if he wanted to, and that apartment rents another year. So those two items, there just isn't enough income coming in to cut those expenses, and those expenses are stuck for the foreseeable future. So what does he need to do? He needs to get some more money in the top line. Need to get a side hustle. Need to get some additional money going in. Nobody wants to work 80 hours a week forever, but there's periods of time to punch in and put some extra work. Maybe it's at your current employer. Maybe they need some additional work done. Maybe it's a project that you work on at home for your current employer. Maybe it's a second job. There's a lot of people looking for high quality people that are willing to work evenings and weekends. Side hustle, second job, great. Working evenings, weekends, whatever else. I'd throw another question out there. Are you irreplaceable at your job? Because irreplaceable people will command more money and make more money over a period of time. Can you work harder at your job in the same hours, taking on more responsibility, raising your hand more often, being the person that's irreplaceable in an organization? People like that will out-earn the typical raises that most employees see. Ask yourself those questions. Stop the spending. Look at what we can do to increase the top line and revenue coming in every month to your personal business, which is your household.